You don't. You say that okay, if we just bring Sharia and Islamic values, all of a sudden people will be locked up inside houses and they'll be making babies and everything will be hunky dory. No,
yeah,
that
Muslims
is not
actually like sex.
Solution.
Muslims like sex. We like to reproduce. Alhamdulillah. We're men, right? We're actual men. We're not these kinds of soy boys. Soy boy liberal human rights advocates. We're men.
Right. Okay.
We like to stay at our houses and have sex, actually, in marriages.
Well done. And I see how you say that. What kind of men you are? You actually say that. Oh, don't you want a woman who is obedient? That is your definition of manhood.
Because we like stable marriages, like 99% of other human cultures. Like 99% of other human cultures that you want to wipe out.
Primitive.
That you want to wipe out. Yeah, wipe out the primitive people. Bomb them.
No, I'm not saying
genocide them.
Not people.
Those primitive people.
No, I said
dehumanize them. Genocide those primitive people. Good job, Harris. You're an amazing human rights advocate.
It's not going to work.
Primitive people.
It's not going to work. I'm talking about the cultures being primitive. And when those people come out,
cultures,
when they step into the talk, yes, so that's fine. Cultures, I don't care about that. But when they come out in the 21st century, they adopt modernism. When they come to the modern world, then that's good. Then everyone, whether they're from Botswana, or they're from El Salvador, or from India, or China, or Pakistan, wherever they go, Afghanistan, they go to America, or their own local countries become modern. That's fine, because then we're not going to expect 50% of our population to be obedient to us. Now, that's your definition of manhood. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you want everyone to be obedient to the totalitarian state. You want everyone to be obedient to the totalitarian technocratic state. You want all power monopolized by the central authority who can shove you in your pod and issue you social credits with constant surveillance, the system that we see in China and that's being rolled out in the EU, in Europe, and now being considered in Canada and North America. This totalitarian system, that's what you want. That's consistent with human rights. That's what human rights ultimately leads to, right? So those primitive cultures, primitive Muslims, primitive Aboriginals, Native Americans, we need to wipe out their cultures, and they need to adopt this universal, homogeneic, get in your pod, eat the bug meat, eat your soy, forget about sex because it's not valuable, or family is not valuable. Yeah, that's the future that you're envisioning, Harris. It's not attractive to me. It's not attractive to me.
Didn't you guys?
I don't know about your Hindu or Christian followers, but I think they're starting to realize that what you're offering is this this hoax, and it's really scary, actually. This is the terror of the modern liberal state. It's devolving. It's destroying the human race.
Okay, I can see how my Hindus and Christian followers are like.
So I made this point about hypergamy a couple of times in the debate. So again, it's this preference that women have. So Harris is saying, oh, you prefer a society where the men are in charge and 50% of the population controls the other 50%. Some nonsense like this, right? He's referring to patriarchy. And I keep referring that it's human nature. Patriarchy is human nature. It's inbuilt, ingrained, hardwired into both men and women. And this has been proven in actual academic studies. So here is one that you can refer to if you're interested in this. Personality and Social Psychology, first published in 2018. Here's the reference. Benevolent sexism, that's what they call it, has detrimental effects on women, supposedly, yet women prefer men with benevolent sexist attitudes over those without. Okay, so they have to say that there are detrimental effects because academia is liberal. Okay, so what they mean by detrimental effects is there's no equality because of it's sexist. It's sexist, so of course it's bad. Okay, well, what are the detrimental effects? Please elaborate. But despite those detrimental effects, women prefer it. The predominant explanation for this paradox is that women respond to the superficially positive appearance of this benevolent sexism without being aware of its subtly harmful effects. Now, think about this from an evolutionary biology standpoint. How is it that women have developed this preference for benevolent sexism? If it's harmful, if it's detrimental, shouldn't evolution have culled out this benevolent sexism because it's harmful? So if women have this genetic preference for the sexist men, it's going to harm them, so they're not going to be able to reproduce as much because they're sick, or they've been abused, or they've been harmed in such a way that they can't reproduce at the same rate as the strong, independent feminists who prefer the egalitarian men. Those egalitarian preferring women are going to reproduce more. Okay? Or they're going to be healthier, so their children are going to be healthier. There's going to be some adaptation, right? Because what does detrimental effect mean? It means there's something that physically has harmed you or psychologically has harmed you, that you're not in as good a position to reproduce or to take care of your children, because your children will need a loving, supportive mother in order to thrive, to grow, and reproduce themselves. So if you're psychologically damaged because of these detrimental effects of the abusive patriarch, then you're not going to be able to properly or be as good at raising your children as opposed to the egalitarian marriage, the amazing, feminist marriage where you're married to, someone like Harris. So explain that evolutionarily. But here's what they say. We propose an alternative explanation drawn from evolutionary and socio-cultural theories on mate preferences. Women find benevolent sexist men attractive because BS attitudes and behaviors signal that a man is willing to invest. Meaning a man that has this kind of sexist attitude is going to be more willing to invest in you as a woman. It's going to be a stronger man to protect you from harm, to protect your children from harm, to get the resources necessary to provide for you and your children. So being sexist signals that, is what they're saying. He's willing to invest. 5 studies show that women prefer with these attitudes and behaviors, especially in mating contexts, because BS mates are perceived as willing to invest, protect, provide, and commit, as opposed to men that don't have this benevolent sexist attitude. The men who are they can't be sexist because they're weaker, or they're just not as interested in the opposite sex, or they're just, for whatever reason, women preferred BS men, despite also perceiving them as patronizing and undermining. These findings extend understanding of women's motives for endorsing BS and suggest that benevolent sexist men, despite having awareness of the harmful consequences. Do they really understand the harmful consequences? Because it seems like it's all positives here. Protect, provide, commit, all of these amazing things are important for a strong father, a strong husband, a supportive husband. And I mean, there's other studies. It's going to take too long if I just do live research here, and I didn't see the link. But there are other studies that show that women are very consciously going to select the macho man, even when they're feminists. So they'll say, I'm a feminist. They'll self-report that. And they'll still, in terms of what they're attracted to, it'll still be the macho, benevolent, sexist man. But it's benevolent. It's benevolent. What does benevolent mean? Benevolence mean? It means being merciful, being kind, being supportive, helping, being understanding. These are important values. Now we're getting into marriage advice to the brothers. Be benevolent, be merciful, be kind. This is exactly the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The sunnah is to be benevolent. But at the end of the day, you have to be qawwam. الرجال قوامون على النساء. You're the authority. You're the benevolent authority. You have to aspire to that. You're responsible for providing. You are responsible for protecting. And you're committed. You're locked in. You're going to be responsible, and you're going to do what you have to do. These are your duties. And you're a man, you have to live up to that. No excuses. No excuses. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, you have to kind of sacrifice your own desires, your own pleasure, your own ambitions sometimes. But you are committed. You will do your job. And you will sacrifice for the sake of your wife or your wives and your children. You'll do that. But this is benevolence. But at the end of the day, you recognize that you're in charge. You have that authority, and you use it for the good of the family. This is a beautiful, beautiful, complete system. Who doesn't recognize this? And even the feminists, they betray their own feminism when they say that they prefer, just ask the most hardcore feminist. There's actually a funny tweet about this, or a funny meme about this, where women claim, these feminists, woke activists claim that they care about the impoverished, they care about weak, migrants, and they care about these poor people, but they don't marry them. They don't actually marry those men. They marry the guys who are stronger than them, higher social status than them, the 6 foot, 6 figures, 6-pack. Those are the guys that they're marrying, but they claim to have so much altruism and so much compassion for these other men who are suffering. Okay, then why aren't you marrying them? Marry them and take care of these men. But women don't do that. They're in fact repulsed by that. And it's something that they can't really help because it's inbuilt. Their hypergamy is inbuilt, is part of their nature. So if that's your nature, why are you fighting against nature? Don't you think that will lead to problems? Aren't those the real detrimental effects that you will suffer? Just confusion after confusion. But this article, you saw 5 different studies all show that women prefer the sexist men. Benevolent sexism. That's all that Islam advocates.